everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another painting tutorial. But it's not a contrast plus tutorial, no. This is an Xpress color tutorial. It's also a bit of a Vallejo review type thing. We are going to be painting up a Cryptguard. This guy, specifically, him. He's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool dude. But we're going to be painting him up. And we're going to be using Xpress Colors. We're going to be using Vallejo Game Colors metallics, because I bought some of them a little while ago to test them and I just haven't had the time to get to them. And Vallejo have also sent me a pile of their brushes. So we're going to be basically testing whether or not I can paint a cool looking fleshy to Cryptguard googly thing with the new Xpress color range, because this is the extended stuff and I'm only going to use the extended stuff because I don't really think I'm going to use the old stuff. I just want to really test out these new paints, which we've already had a look at on stream. We're going to be testing out these brushes, and I'm going to be testing out some metallics for the first time as well. Now, I've grabbed a couple of the Xpress colors here. I might end up using more, and I don't know which of these brushes I'm going to use just yet. They've sent me a lot. We've got a size 1 detail brush. We have some flat round dry brushes, which are pretty cool. We've got some Pro Modeler size 2 brushes. We've got a shader brush, this thing, which is pretty awesome. We've got a starter kit. Maybe I'll just use this for now. See if we can get something pretty cool just with the starter set. Inside that you get Precision 1 and 3-0 and a flat, I guess, dry brush for effects is what it's called, an effects 4 brush. These are called dry brushes, but this is called effects 4. We have a blender brush, which we're probably not gonna use. It's a bit big for this. We have a really big effects brush. What does it say for to use these for? Multiple purposes. Awesome. We have a detail brush, a size 0. Again, might end up using that one. We have a detail brush size 2, which is enormous. That's a really cool brush. And we have a Pro Modeler size 2 of 10, or 2/0. So yeah, we're going to be using brushes from Vallejo. We're going to be using metallics from Vallejo. We're going to be using Xpress Colors from Vallejo, and maybe some other stuff from Vallejo if I've got it. I don't have very much Vallejo. I'm going to try to avoid using any Games Workshop Citadel paints, but there might be some highlights that I end up wanting to do, which will have to be Citadel paints because my Vallejo range isn't enormous. That's my fault. Although space is a premium here, which is why I don't own every single Vallejo Army painter or Scale 75 or any of those paints. I don't own the entire ranges because, well, like I said, space is a premium. We don't have much room around here. So I'm going to open up this starter set from the Vallejo brushes. I want to see how these feel in the hand because they look like they've kind of got like a matte finish to them. If they just come out, that would be very nice. Oh, they're color coded at the bottom, that's cool. Oh, pulled off a cap. Come on, you know you want to come out of here. Oh, there we go. Interesting. Feels like holding a pencil. Yeah, it's not like a glossy handle. It's got kind of a, well, not a textured handle, but it feels more grippy. It's also triangular, this one. So I've used some triangular brushes before. They feel quite comfortable. Quite a nice sensation to use. Yeah, we're going to be trying this one out. Precision Synthetic 1. We're going to be probably using the Precision Synthetic 3/0. Tiny little brush there, as you can see. It's a very, very small little brush. That's cool. And then this brush, which is a multi-effects, multi-purpose brush. It looks like a dry brush to me. But these are sick. They feel really cool. They feel really premium. And they kind of, it's almost like carbon fiber. I don't know what they're made of. So maybe they are carbon fiber, who knows. So I'm just going to put those brushes to one side. See you later, Artis Opus and Citadel brushes, for now. Hopefully I won't have to use you. I've got more than enough brushes to sink a battleship now. Anyway, I'm going to be using Vallejo Xpress Colors on our Cryptguard. And this Cryptguard came from the Flesh Eater Quartz Army set the Games Workshop sent me a couple of weeks back. And we've been painting them all up, and there is no kind of definite colour scheme that we're doing here. I've not kind of got a grand court in mind. I'm just going to have fun with it, see what we can do with the Xpress Colors, see if we can make something pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to be right back in just a second once I've figured out where my starting point is. So the place I'm going to start on this Cryptguard, it's a champion, this one. The place I'm going to start is with some zombie flesh. That seemed appropriate. And we're going to start by applying this all over the top of our Cryptguard's skin. This is going to be probably quite a bit darker than any of the other ones that we've done so far. So I'm going to start down here on this foot. And I think I've mentioned it already, I'm not entirely certain, but our Cryptguard has been primed in White Scar. And yep, didn't have any Vallejo primers. So there will be some Citadel involvement here. This brush feels pretty good in the hand. It feels very big, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is just as a consequence of that kind of triangular design. They do tend to feel a little bit bigger in the hand, which isn't, it can be kind of off-putting for some people, and others it's not too bad. The trick with new brushes is often just kind of getting your depth perception right. You might make contact a lot sooner than you're used to, you see. Because you're used to a shorter brush, for example. Which is definitely kind of how I'm feeling with this one. The bristles feel a lot longer than a medium layer brush from Citadel. But we'll figure it out. It doesn't feel like it's holding enough Xpress colour at the moment to give us a nice consistent colour code. I'm not sure if it looks a little bit patchy. It definitely feels like I've got way too much in here. One of those really cool things about Xpress colour is that it stays wetter for longer than contrast does, so I can come back to this leg here and just absorb some of that paint if I'm not happy with it. They don't stay wet forever, but they do stay wetter than contrast. Certainly does. I'm going to keep applying this. Definitely feels like there's a lot of spring in the brush. I'm talking a lot about the brush and not so much about the paint because this is literally my first impression of the brush. It's not my first impression of zombie flesh. As I mentioned, we did that live stream where we looked at all the paints and I really liked the colour, so I wanted to use it on something. I just wanted to see what we could do. You know? See if we can make something cool.
And whilst I'm applying all of that zombie flesh, I can tell you about today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Serious Readers. I've talked about them in the past, so you guys already know I really believe in their stuff. So when serious readers asked me to check out their high definition Gemini table light, you know I absolutely had to. It uses all the same great stuff as their floor light, especially their proprietary daylight wavelength technology to replicate the daylight spectrum as closely as technically possible, which makes a big difference on your eyes. The biggest feature here though is that it's not one, but two light engines on separate flexible arms, giving you optimal coverage of your painting space, a light source to share with someone else, or a perfect setup for taking photos of your miniatures. They're built right here in the UK, as Serious Readers is a British company pioneering research into improving sight through shedding better light, relying on replicating the natural daylight spectrum that our eyes have evolved to use. They offer a 5-year warranty and are recommended by over 500 independent opticians. They're also super cool folks with excellent customer service, so much so that when I asked for a colder bulb, they sent me one, or in this case two, along with 2 diffusers to make my life even better. Check out Serious Readers today, and if you pick one up and use offer code SR489, you can get £100 off high definition lights and free delivery. Find out more in the links below.
So with all that zombie flesh applied, I thought I'd try a different brush, and I'm going to try the Pro Modeler size 2. This thing is enormous. Look at how big that brush is. It's a very big brush. This one's a natural hair brush. The other ones are synthetic. So the one I just used, the Precision Synthetic size 1 brush, is a synthetic brush, and this one's a natural hair one. But what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Mahogany, and we're going to apply this over the top of the hair. That doesn't seem right. I hadn't actually given it a good enough shake, so it wasn't right. So we are using Mahogany. It shouldn't look like this. It should look like this. With that Mahogany applied, we're then going to take some muddy ground, and we're going to apply this to his little tabard. Next up, we're going to take some Battledress Brown, and we're going to apply this over the top of the wrap on the halberd. And next up, we're going to take some Greasy Black. I'm going to use this to paint in all the wood. Got a little bit of wood down here. And we've got some wood just here. There's a little bit of wood just there. Just in there. The top just up here. And he's got a little banner on his back. And a good little knight he is. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some tanned skin and we're going to apply this over the top of the flesh on this head up here. Like that, as well as over the top of the banner. And with that now done, I'm going to take some Willow Bark. I'm going to use this to paint in kind of any remaining straps and ties and things like that. So with that willow bark applied, we're then going to take some mummy white. I'm going to use this over the top of the bones. Although looking at that, it doesn't look quite right, does it? Let's try something else. This time, instead of mummy white, we're going to try bag of bones. See, again, it feels a little bit weak, this bone colour. But then we have been spoiled for many years with Skeleton Horde. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some demonic skin and we're going to add a little bit of, hopefully a little reddy shading into our zombie flesh. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. What I want to do is I want to add this kind of like Morgaunt. I want to add this over the top of the hands, the feet, and the face. Maybe I am just doing Morgaunt here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it up to the elbow, wash the brush, and then see if we can blend it just like contrast. And yes, the answer is yes. Emphatically so. And in some ways, theoretically, this should blend easier than contrast because it's got that longer drying time, which is certainly a compelling reason to pick these up. I don't feel like I'm rushing at all. which is a pretty cool feeling. So with that then done, I'm going to take a tiny little bit of Hospitalier Black. I'm going to use this over the top of the mouth. The eyes. Going to use it over this bit of kind of cable ties, I always call it that. Like so. And I'm going to use this over the top of fingernails. And toenails. So with that all done, one of the metallics that I did buy is some Tinny Tin from Game Colour from Vallejo, and I want to try this out on some armour. So I'm going to apply this over the top of the helmet. That definitely covers on really nicely. I've added just a little bit of water to it just to improve the flow. I wasn't certain if you had to. It's not an air paint, so I'd guess that you have to. But I just did it anyway, out of force of habit. This feels really nice. So now the darkest metallic I could get my hands on in terms of silver was Chainmail, but it's a little bit too blue for me. So what I'm doing is I'm going to mix in a little bit of Tinny Tin just to see if I can get it a little bit darker. Yeah, that'll do the job. And yeah, I'm just going to apply this over the top of the silver details. It's still quite blue and bright. That's okay, that's what shading is for. So we've got all of our base coats down on our Cryptguard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a shade, and I'm going to use Lancer Grey because I think it's a cool colour. But what I've done is I've thinned it down with some Xpress Medium, so 5 blobs. So I did 1 blob of Lancer Medium and 5 of Xpress Medium. And I'm going to be using this to shade the metallics. I'm going to put this over the top of the silver. I'm also going to put this over the top of the Tinny Tin. I think that kind of slightly gross green will look pretty good over the silver. Jury's out on the Tinny Tin. Might as well just try it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's still drying at the moment, but I want to add a little bit of extra shade into that silver. So what I've done is I've done a similar thing, sort of 5 parts Xpress Medium to 1 part Greasy Black. I want to just kind of add a little bit more. Into the weapon, basically. So with that, our Cryptguard is now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and I think it looks really good. I'm really pleased with it. So now comes the time of highlighting. And, well, as I mentioned before, I don't have a ton of Vallejo paints with which to do this, but what I do have is one of these game colour sets that Vallejo have sent me. They've sent me the tan skin set, sent me a couple of others, but they're not really appropriate for this particular model. And what we've got is 4 paints for tan skin. So we have, within this set, oh, a little QR code underneath, that's really nice. Elfic Flesh, we have Skin Tone, and we have Elf Skin Tone, and we have Barbarian Skin. Now I think between the 4 of these I should be able to get some pretty good highlights going on the model. And I also have, because I've also got it myself, model colour white. I just bought this because I wanted to try a white, so that's cool. And again, other things that I've bought, I've got Brassy Brass and Plata Silver, or just silver. This looks like a very bright silver to me. So we're going to be using all of these to do some highlights. We'll do that in just a second because obviously I've got to open them. So the colour I'm going to use first is Elfic Flesh. And we're going to be using that Precision Synthetic 3-0 brush to do this now. And we're going to use this to highlight all of the skin. Kind of feels like a pallid witch flesh equivalent in a very pleasant way. So with that done, I'm then going to take Elf Skin Tone. I'm going to use this to highlight those bits of flesh that we have. So the tan skin. Do you know something? I'm really vibing with this brush. I feel like I've got lots of control. I feel like it holds paint really well. The tip's really good on it. The paint works really nicely as well. One of the other game colours sets that Vallejo sent me is the orange colour set. And inside you get sunset orange, hot orange, and scarlet blood, and orange fire, which is a pretty cool paint. As you can see, there they are, the example on the back. The reason I've got this out is because I realised, because we've gone quite pale with the skin, what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of kind of slight variation. So I'm going to take a tiny little bit of orange fire. I'm going to use this to paint in the eyes of our ghoul. With the absence of an actual bone colour, I thought we could try some sunset orange for the teeth and the claws. See what that looks like. Looks pretty good. We use this over the eye of the victim. No, I don't like that. What we will do is we'll use some Elfic Flesh for that. Looking at it on my palette, this might be a little bit too bright. But it was the best I could get at the time. So I'm going to be using this plate silver to highlight all the silver. It's okay. It's got a little bit more of blue than I would like. So with that silver all applied, it looks okay. Like I said, it's a little bit blue for my liking, but it's okay. It's all right. Anyway, next up we're going to use some Brassy Brass. Just because I like the name. I'm going to use this to highlight the Tinny Tin. I think that looks excellent. Even if I do say so myself. Do you know, looking at him, this is probably where I would leave it now. Because I really don't want to use Citadel paints on this. I want to be able to say I did all of this with Vallejo, and I think it looks great. I'm really, really proud of this one.
So I've completed the base in the same style as the rest of my Flesh Eater Court, so I did have to use some Citadel there, but the verdict is in. I think Xpress Color is absolutely onto something here. These new colours are fantastic. There's so many kind of earthy, real tones here that you can create some really cool pieces, just like I've done here. I'm exceptionally proud of this one. I think it looks amazing, and I think the Xpress Color is just great. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.